He told how he liked to wash the bodies and keep them for company, sometimes talking to them and sleeping with them for weeks after the killing.
They asked me how many there were, and I didn't really know. I just gave them a figure. And because I was cooperating with the police, I decided I'll stick with it. You know? There were three of those victims were invented just to complement the continuity of evidence of the police, because just to keep them happy. On a weekend, I would sort of pull out the floorboards, and I found it totally unpleasant, and get blinding drunk, so I could face it, and start the dissection, you know, on the kitchen floor. And I'd go out and be sick outside in the garden, haul the body out onto the floorboards, put it on the sheet, and then cut it out.
He believes the key to understanding him lies in his childhood when his grandfather died at sea.
Making myself look dead was nothing to do with death itself. It was making myself look as different from me as it was possible to imagine, so that I could really be convincing as being somebody else. But he's now me. He's now my body in the fantasy. The most exciting part of the little conundrum was when I lifted the body, carried it. It was an expression of my power to lift and carry and have control. And the dangling element of limbs was an expression of his passivity.
Yes. So these
two opposite things. I mean, it was my power and his passivity. The more passive he could be, the more powerful I was.
One of the final murders that you committed, of course, was apparently little Kimberly Leach, 12 years of age. I think the public outcry is greater there because an innocent child was taken from a playground. What did you feel after that? Were there the normal emotions 3 days later? Where were you, Ted?
I can't really talk about that right now. That's
too painful.
Yeah. I would like to. I'd like to be able to convey to you what that experience is like, but I can't. I won't be able to talk about that.
Okay.
Manson refuses to sit in the chair provided. He says he's not going to look up to anyone. But finally, Tom Snyder of the National Broadcasting Company asks his first question.
You know, you were sentenced to the gas chamber and then they modified the death penalty. Were you happy when that was done?
Was I happy when what was done?
When you found out that you weren't going to the gas chamber.
You're talking about dying. Now, it gets me nervous.
Why?
Did you have any thoughts about something? Was you wanting to go anywhere?
Were you happy when you found out you weren't going to go to the gas chamber, Charles?
I knew I wasn't going to go to the gas chamber because I hadn't done anything wrong.
You scared to die?
Sometimes I feel I'm scared to live. Living is what scares me. Dying is easy. How long have I been in jail? 34 years? 34 years, so...
Out of 47, you've been here 34.
I've been in jail, prison, a long time, all my life. I was raised up in here. So I understand jail. So I understand myself, and I can deal with that. I sit in my cell, and I do my number, like a convict does his...
Knots in general. Catch his sense of humor.
Shoelaces, huh? You're in trouble now.
Yeah, right.
Aren't you afraid sitting that close to me? What the hell? Oh, this is too long. Oh, you don't need it this long. Okay. I had a rosary, which I carried in my pocket. I've always carried a rosary. It was my communion rosary. They said, well, what kind of a knot do you use? I said, what do you mean knot? When I tie things up? I says, depending on what I'm using it for, I said, the only thing I ever learned from Boy Scouts is a tourniquet knot. He said, well, show us what that is. So I took, at that time, and again, it's together, but in order to demonstrate it here, I took the rosary and I said, well, here, you put it around. This is hard trying to do this. Why don't you put your hand out? Okay, here. What I told him, I said, here, all you do is you wrap it around, you put one knot in it. And I said, then you put a second knot in it. Okay? Mm-hmm. I said, then you take a stick and stick it in here, and you just turn this. And I said, it causes a tourniquet. I said, that's the only knot I ever learned.
Precisely the kind of knot found on the ropes wrapped around the necks of the victims found under the house on Summerdale.
My next question is why you actually took the lives of your victims.
Yeah, I'd like to know the reason for it too. I don't know. Inject him with another syringe full of that dilute hydrochloric acid, and that's what killed him. I wasn't trying to kill him, but that's what happened.
You would make offers to lure young men by offering them money.
Sometimes, yes.
And what you'd offer them money for is for the taking of pictures.
Occasionally.
You'd also offer them drinks.
Mm-hmm.
Your answer is yes?
Right.
And you didn't necessarily propose a sexual encounter, but you hoped that it would lead in that direction.
Right.
The other procedure that you utilized was to drill holes through the bone, through the skull of your victims?
Yes.
What did you inject into the hole?
Sometimes hot water, sometimes a weak acid solution.
What sort of acid?
Hydrochloric.
Now, what was the purpose of that drilling technique now?
To put the person in a sort of zombie-like state. I didn't know exactly what it would do, but I was experimenting, if you will.
What do you mean when you say a zombie-like state? What are you
State where he would be willing to just follow my orders and not want to leave.